For those of you who have been following me for over a year, you know that just a little over a year ago, I switched over to a Mac from a PC. And did I have regrets? No. Like day one, I did not have regrets. I can't believe that I did not switch a long time ago. Because of my MacBook Pro M2 Max only having so many ports, I obviously went over and got a docking station, the CalDigit TS4. This has been amazing. There is a review on my channel on it. You can watch it. It is good, and I do suggest it because in this video, you're going to find out which one you should go with, and one might be better than the other for you. It all depends. But I've been using this ever since I got the MacBook Pro M2 Max, and I love it. It has all these connections right here. But guess what? The other week, IVanky, or IVanky, however you want to pronounce it, reached out to me and asked if I would be willing to review their docking station on my channel. Now, this is not an endorsed video, but I will tell you they gave this to me. I'm not giving it back. It's mine now. To review, and I said yes, I'd be willing to review it. They are not seeing this video before it gets released, and these are all my thoughts. They didn't tell me what to say, I swear. So what I want to do is I want to unbox the IVanky. I want to compare it next to the TS4 by CalDigit and see if one is better than the other. Now, this is going to be an unboxing, but I'm just going to tell you, I've already unboxed it. I've already tested it, but, because I've had it for a little while. But we're going to unbox it right now, and then I'm going to tell you which one is the best one for you, probably. Here is the FusionDock MAX 1 by IVanky, or IVanky, however you want to pronounce it. This is, and you can read it right there, but it is specifically designed for Mac operating systems and not designed for Intel. So even if you have an Intel Mac, it will not work. You need to have the M1, M2, or M3 silicon chip. That is what it's designed for. And so sorry, PC people, this is not for you. Quad monitor setup, 6K at 60 Hertz. I will tell you this box is definitely heavier than the CalDigit TS4 that I have. So far, the presentation is top notch. I'm actually pretty impressed that it's just presented beautifully right on top there. And you know that everything else is inside this box. But right away, the docking station is there and it is solid. So let's open this up right away. And similar to Apple, you have these little easy little tabs and stuff that you can just rip open. Well, the IVanky actually looks like it has a better design for cooling, where the CalDigit, it definitely heats up. We're going to find out if this heats up too, like the CalDigit. The back has a regular hookup that you could do head jack, or it could be a speaker system. So if you have monitor speakers, and there's also an optical hookup as well if you want to do optical. The CalDigit actually doesn't have the optical out, so this is a benefit for the IVanky. I'm very curious about the headphones because the headphones on the CalDigit TS4 actually has a humming sound to it, and I do not use it for monitoring. I go directly into the Mac. So if this actually sounds very clean coming out, then this would be the one I definitely will be using for my headset and not going directly into the Mac. Now, IVanky does have the 6K monitor hookup right there if you want to. These USB-C hookups don't have to be directly for 6K monitors. It could be for anything, but it is telling you that your 6K monitor could hook up to that. Let's actually look a little bit closer. Your 10 gigabits per second connection there. Also the USB traditional size is the same for speed. And then again, you do have the SD and the micro SD. We have the traditional USBs. They're 10 gigabits. You have a 2.5 LAN. I actually have a 10 gigabit Thunderbolt 4 that I already use directly to bypass the 2.5, but it does give you an option for 2.5. So on the CalDigit and also on the IVanky, I don't think that these aren't going to matter a whole lot for speed. Now, a huge difference between the CalDigit TS4 and this IVanky is the TS4 does not have HDMI. It has a display port and you can do an adapter for HDMI. But this actually does have HDMI, and it doesn't just have one, it has two HDMI hookups. They're 2.0, not 2.1. I'm going to touch on that in just a little bit about the 2.0 versus 2.1, because if this had 2.1 and if the TS4 had 2.1, that would make a huge difference. But yet there is not a 2.1 HDMI in one of these docking stations that I've come across. And I think the next generation will have it, and that'll be a game changer. And I'll tell you why in just a little bit. Now, to complete the quad, you got the two in the front and you got the two in the back for the 6K. Again, these do not need to be used for monitors. They could be used for anything, but it does give you that idea that you can connect your monitor directly to that. This one is going to be a dual USB-C connection that you will connect, and that will go directly into your Mac. So if you have an M1, M2, or M3, and it's supposed to be a lot faster in transfer speeds than any other docking station. Instruction manual here. When a company packages things nicely, you know that they have high value and pride in the product that they're creating, and I love it. Tell me what you think. Is that something that you appreciate? I think that's a big thing with Apple, because you could tell they take a lot of pride in their product. Wow. So you've got these little zip ties for cords. I have a ton of these. I have bought them in bulk, so I probably have hundreds of these in my office whenever I want to tie cords, so I appreciate this. Here is the manual, and this manual is thick. I'm going to say it is a quality size manual here. Power bank is probably one of the heavier things out of the whole box. This reminds me of the CalDigit power bank as well. That was pretty big and pretty heavy. The CalDigit actually makes a high-pitch humming sound once in a while, and I don't know if that is just my copy or if that's just normal to have that high pitch. So we're going to find out if this makes a high pitch. So we have power connection right there, and then plug this right into the unit. It also came with HDMI, which is good. A lot of these companies do not send an HDMI cable with their docking station. And there you go, gold-plated HDMI 2.0 cables. So the next and last piece in the box, let's open that up. USB-C 40 gigabits per second cable here. Now with Macs, your USB-Cs are actually really close to each other, and specifically they are this close. Now this obviously does not fit in here, but on the other side, you have these that are going to be separated. So they do, one would go there, the other one would go here, and this plugs right into your Mac. And the big difference between this and the CalDigit TS4 is the CalDigit TS4 just uses one of these. So now it's using a dual 40 gigabits per second transfer rate, which is going to be faster, dual, obviously, than the single. And that's where we're going to find out if that makes a big difference with speed and reliability. Now, to give you an idea, this is the CalDigit TS4. It is smaller. Its depth does stick out a little bit more. As you can see, it does stick out a little bit more there. It is thinner on the sides. Weight-wise, they are actually very similar, even though this is a smaller footprint, so to speak, than the IVanky. But the IVanky, boy, is it's solid. So if you're somebody that likes to plug and play and kind of go as you need, then this is pretty good. And then you don't have to actually go to the back. So far in theory, I like the IVanky, and I love that it's a dark color. It doesn't stand out as much. This is usually $550, but it is on sale right now for about $430. This is not on sale right now, and it just sells for $400. So it is a $30 difference. This is more expensive most of the time, but a $30 difference, but you're getting a lot more so far that I can tell you out of this than you would be this with peripherals. Now, here's the hard part. Which one of these is best for you? Now, I've been using this for an entire year, and I've only been using this for a little less than a week, but I've been using this for business nonstop, 24/7, constantly plugged in. And my main purpose, besides having a ton of peripherals stuck into it in the back and in the front, I'm also using the SD card and the micro SD card constantly. And let me get down to the thing I actually don't like about this, that this offers, and it's so superficial, it may not even matter to most of you, probably all of you. Now, you know that satisfying feeling when you put an SD card in and it just pushes and then pushes out, and it has that spring? Well, guess what? IVanky, first of all, it's got to be upside down. It's not straight in. The CalDigit, straight in. Just, the OCD in me. But it's got to be upside down, and you got to put it in, and there's no spring. You just pull it out. Is it a big difference in performance? No, not at all. I've actually found that this actually might run faster than the CalDigit in most cases when I'm rendering out directly from the card. But it is one of those things psychologically I just don't like. But you know what's really funny? Is that the micro SD card has the spring and it faces down, straight on. It springs in, springs out when you need to eject it, but the SD card doesn't. IVanky, I'm sure you're working on Model 2. Let it spring, baby. Let it spring. Now, my other pet peeve is actually with both of these and every single docking station out there as of right now. And honestly, in all defense of these docking stations, it's probably Mac. It's probably Mac's problem. But here's the thing. We have HDMI 2.0 in here. We have a display port here. Even if you use the Thunderbolt in these with an adapter to HDMI 2.1, which does exist, by the way, I have tested it out, you cannot get 120 hertz out of here. It's only 60 hertz. Why is that a problem? Most of you don't use 120 hertz on your monitors. Well, guess what? I have a 48-inch LG OLED running at 120 hertz. And I cannot run that at 60 hertz because it hurts my eyes. It is choppy, it is ugly, and you need 120 hertz, especially that size on an OLED. And these do not support that. But directly into my MacBook Pro M2 Max does have HDMI 2.1, and I can get 120 hertz natively out of that. You think I'd be able to plug into the Thunderbolt directly and get that 120 hertz, but it just doesn't exist. Maybe in the future, maybe there'll be an HDMI 2.1 in these that are compatible with Mac. I can't put HDMI into any of these. I have to go directly into the computer, which is then another cord into the computer, where the purpose of this is less cords into the computer, just one, and everything into that. So into the future, IVanky, CalDigit compete with each other, and cooperate with Mac, whatever they want, give it to them. Tell them you want 2.1, you need 120 hertz. It's big for me. It's kind of a big thing. Now that we got those nitpicky things out of the way, you really want to know which one is best. Well, it's going to come down to a couple options, and maybe I can help sway you in one direction or the other. First of all, I will tell you that the headset right here works perfectly. For some reason, in the CalDigit, I get a lot of static. I don't think it's my headset, but I get a lot of static out of it for some reason. And here it is clean. It is beautiful. I like the front connections. I like the back. I like the look over this. Now, the CalDigit, it's just gray. It almost looks like an old Mac, right? But this on my black desk looks so much better. It's sleeker, it's more discreet. This is like the awkward kid that walks in the first day of school wearing shorts when it was pants day. For all fairness, the rubber tabs that you get to put on the CalDigit are not permanent. They just come off really easy, and then they can just slip on in the grooves, and they work out really well there. And so you can move them as you need. Also, it has a grip right here. So if you want to go vertical, there it is, vertical sticky, and on the bottom here, there. Now, the grippies that come with this, yes, I said grippies. The grippies that come on, they stick on, and I don't know if they're permanent, but I think if I unstick them, they're not going to work anymore. And you put them on the side here, and you put them, on the bottom. So I could go vertical if I wanted to, or horizontal. That's what she said. But how hard would it have been to just put a rubber little pad here, just like the CalDigit? But the number one reason why you'd want to go with the FusionDock MAX 1 by IVanky is the fact that you can do a quad monitor setup with a MacBook with the M2 or M1 Max or M3 Max chip. And if you just have a Pro, you still have that dual setup. For me, I'm just using it on an external monitor, a 48-inch OLED by LG with 120 hertz. It's directly in. So either of these work fine for me. But ultimately, it comes down to the look, the ports. I have a little bit more options. And I am noticing a faster transfer speeds when it comes to my SD cards and my micro SD cards at the end of the day. It's not huge, but it's enough that since the price is so close, I personally would go with this one. If you want to save a few dollars, the CalDigit is just fine, but it almost kind of looks like a 1950s microwave a little bit. But we're all winners if you are a Mac user. Sorry, PC people. I used to be one of you. Now I'm a stuck-up snob that doesn't even look at you twice. If you made it this far, then you might as well just hit the like button and also subscribe. That's what cool people do that are going to buy one of these two things. By the way, you have to. If you're a Mac user and you don't have one of these two, wow, you're going to have to buy one of them. And since you stuck around this long, you might as well like the video and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of me on the crazy train. Oh, and if you want to see the review on this video and my first impressions, well, that video's right over there. You can totally check it out. You won't be disappointed with this. But again, do you want the DeLorean or do you want Knight Rider?